We have discussed basic about COVID-19. At present, there are no specific antiviral agent which have been found to be effective in the treatment of COVID-19. In the search of effective treatment, transfusion with convalescent plasma is being talked widely now. In the United States, a group of researchers and doctors from 57 institutions and universities, including Johns Hopkins University, Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and the Mount Sinai Medical School, are investigating and applying convalescent plasma therapy for COVID-19. It is important to know and understand more about convalescent plasma therapy, its merit, its risk, its current use in COVID-19 treatment. Hence, in today's webinar, I, Dr. Sachin Kadam, Chief Technology Officer of Advanced Cells, will try my best to shed some light on this passive antibody therapy for COVID-19. So let's start with today's webinar, which is on plasma therapy for COVID-19, all we need to know. Okay, so convalescent plasma is also known as a passive antibody therapy. The word convalescent means the gradual recovery of health and strength after illness or injury. It refers to the later stage of infectious disease or illness when the patient recovers from and return to previous health. But many continue to be a source of infection to others even if they are feeling better. So this is what the convalescent means. When we talk about plasma, plasma or blood plasma is a yellowish liquid component of blood that holds the blood cells of whole blood in suspension. It is the liquid part of the blood that carries cells and protein through the body. It makes up to 55% of total blood volume. So when we are talking about plasma, which is the part of blood, it is important to know composition of blood. Blood is specialized body fluid. Blood accounts for 8% of our total body weight. Blood or whole blood has four main components: plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Plasma is rich in protein, iron, nutrients, and regulatory substances, along with the few waste products. Blood has many different functions, including transporting oxygen and nutrients to lungs and other tissues. Many times we tend to get confused with blood, serum, and blood plasma. A key difference between plasma and serum is that plasma is liquid and serum is fluid. While most of the components are the same for both plasma and serum, plasma contains fibrinogen, which is absent in serum. So fibrinogen is a coagulation factor. So serum is plasma without coagulation factor. So is plasma can use only as a convalescent therapy? The answer is no. Convalescent whole blood can also be used in therapy to neutralize pathogens. Different convalescent blood products have used to achieve artificially acquired passive immunity. Of them, convalescent plasma gains increased attention as a therapeutic tool in pandemic like COVID-19 because of large volume collection per session, the possibility of more frequent donation, and the absence of impact of donor hemoglobin thanks to reinfusion of his or her own red blood cells. It is important to note that recruitment of donor living in the area of epidemic can offer added value of providing specific artificially acquired passive immunity against the local infectious agent due to strain variation of the pathogen. Convalescent plasma therapy is not a new approach. It's an old wine. From 1880 to the antibiotic era, convalescent blood products were used to prevent and treat many bacterial and viral infection in human as well as animal model. In 1890, the first rational approach to treat diphtheria using blood serum from immunized animal to convalescent human were used. Since then, treatment of many diseases were explored using convalescent plasma therapy. That includes Spanish flu in 1920 to the most recent H1N1 and MERS coronavirus in 2012. It is necessary to understand why to use convalescent therapy. The patient infused with convalescent plasma showed clinical status improvement on 4 major parameters, and these parameters are respiratory rate. Normal respiration rate of an adult is at rest is somewhere around 12 to 20 breaths per minute. In COVID patient, this rate has noted to soar about 35 breaths per minute. Post plasma therapy, substantial drop was observed in 48 hours and normal rate achieved in 7 days. The second one is oxygen saturation. Normal oxygen saturation rate is 95% in human being. In COVID-19, same has become 85%. Upon plasma therapy, this improves by 6.61% in 48 hours and 9.92% in 7 days. Then the duration of ICU stay for patient administered with convalescent plasma was found shorter and they were discharged faster. The most importantly, fourth one, sequential organ failure assessment score, or in short known as SOFA score, was found to reduce from 7.71% to 1.8% in patient after convalescent plasma therapy. The identification, selection, and recruitment of potential plasma donor can be discussed or can be difficult, as convalescent subject must also meet the donor selection criteria in compliance with national policies and routine procedure. So when we are talking about convalescent plasma, all donors must be diagnosed with COVID-19. Donors should have completely cured for at least 14 days. All donors must be between age 20 and 60, and they should meet the criteria. 200 to 600 cc of plasma is collected and stored at -20, and after the collection and storage, whenever it's required, the plasma is taken out and 200 cc to 400 cc plasma is given to a patient suffering with COVID-19 elements. So it is said that one dose of 200 ml of convalescent plasma with a high concentration of neutralizing antibody was well tolerated by patient, and that it can rapidly reduce the viral load in patients and improve clinical symptoms significantly. However, based on severity of disease, sometimes even 2 doses are required. Generally, one donor can donate plasma sufficient for 2 to 3 patients. Convalescent plasma therapy is all about activating immune system. When we talk about immune system, this immune system is comprised of various cells like T cells, B cells, macrophages, eosinophils, etc. The cells of an immune system are more like an army. Like a soldier, these cells protect our body from infection or from foreign material entering in our body. Of these immune cells, B cells are developed from hematopoietic stem cells that originate from bone marrow. These B cells produce antibodies, also known as immunoglobulin. These antibodies are Y-shaped structural molecules that binds to and destroys antigen. The 5 primary classes of immunoglobulins are IgG, IgM, IgA, IgD, and IgE. These are distinguished by a type of heavy chain found on the molecule. When destruction of pathogen or virus takes place, following few terms are frequently used, and these terms are, the first one is neutralization. We know that every virus has affinity for specific cells in the host body. They have receptors on their surface that binds to these cells. So to combat these viruses, our body produce antibodies, which has strong affinity for these binding sites on virus, thus blocking the cell binding site on the virus. The another common term used is opsonization. Antibodies that binds to virus has affinity for macrophages and eosinophils too. Once these antibody binds to virus, they secrete signal and attracts macrophages. These macrophages then engulf the viruses with antibodies and later destroy them. Antibodies attached to the pathogen surface activates complement system. The complement system is a part of the immune system that enhances and complements the ability of antibodies and phagocytic cell to clear microbes and damaged cells from the organism. It also promotes inflammation and attacks the pathogen's plasma membrane to destroy these pathogens. The ability to fight against the pathogen is what body's immunity is. The immunity is basically divided into two groups, active immunity and passive immunity. Where a prominent difference between active and passive immunity is that active immunity is developed due to the production of antibodies in one's own body, while passive immunity is developed by antibodies that are produced outside. When we talk about the convalescent plasma therapy, it is a passive immunity. When our immune system gets activated to fight against the infection, during the first encounter with virus, a primary antibody response occurs. Immunoglobulin M or IgM antibody appears first. If you see the figure, in this graph, the green line indicates the IgM response and the red line indicates the IgG response. So after IgM appears, IgA followed. This IgA is generally present on mucosal surface. Along with IgA, IgG also appears, and this IgG is generally found in blood, okay, blood serum or blood plasma. The IgG antibody is the major antibody of this response and is very stable. So it also has a half-life of say somewhere around 7 to 21 days. Now, let's discuss how the convalescent plasma will help person fight against the coronavirus. We have seen that convalescent plasma is a composition of protein, anti-inflammatory cytokines, clotting factors, and most importantly, antibodies against coronavirus in this case. Antibodies will be immunoglobulin G and little portion of immunoglobulin M. We have already seen how virus neutralization takes place using antibodies. Similarly, immunoglobulin G from convalescent plasma has affinity towards spike protein of coronavirus. Hence, they goes and binds to these spike proteins. Once the binding with spike protein occurs, this process in turn activates immune system. That is cytokines from Th1 to Th17 ratio, complement activation, and regulation of hypercoagulable state. macrophages and neutrophils are activated, and then the destruction of coronavirus takes place. So this is how the plasma therapy happens when we inject the plasma inside the body. So when we are talking about the plasma therapy, it is really necessary to know what the regulatory bodies thinks about this. So if we see the US scenario, or for that matter FDA, in US March 24, 2020, the FDA, they announced an emergency IND process to allow individual uh, physician to treat patient with series or serious COVID-19 disease with convalescent plasma. On April 7th, 2020, the FDA announced a national expanded access protocol administered through Mayo Clinic. The protocol enables a wider range of adults to be treated with convalescent plasma by including those at risk of several diseases, as well as those already suffering from severe disease. Lastly, there are a number of FDA approved multi-center clinical trials are ongoing in US, focused on variety of study subject, including high-risk individual for prophylaxis, patient with mild disease, those with serious but not critical disease, ICU patient or children. So similar kind of efforts are ongoing all across the globe. If we see the Indian scenario, ICMR and DCGI, Drug Controller of India, are the main governing body who are controlling this plasma therapy. In India, DCGI have given nod to many hospitals to conduct convalescent plasma therapy. Just yesterday, Government of Maharashtra have announced the world's largest convalescent plasma therapy clinical trials. But it is necessary to remember that these regulatory bodies have approved these therapy as investigational therapy and only on emergency basis with proper approval. So when we are administering convalescent plasma therapy, we really need to take the permission from these governing body to conduct the test. Okay, so I don't have the Indian data, but I have few US numbers where over 7,000 units have been transfused to over 5,000 patients till date. Convalescent plasma transfusion appears safe with no major unwanted side effects so far. In fact, convalescent plasma helps patients to reduce the severity of the disease at early stage before their body start producing antibody against coronavirus. So, known risk of plasma transfusion includes allergic reaction, transfusion associated circulatory overload, also called as TACO, and transfusion associated acute lung injury, called as TRALI. As with any plasma or blood transfusion, additional concerns including potential worsening of immune mediated tissue damage via the poorly understood phenomenon of antibody dependent enhancement, in short called ADE, and blunting of endogenous immunity to the virus. However, we should know that so far antibody dependent enhancement has not been documented anywhere. So likely it is not a major issue for COVID-19 convalescent plasma infusion. So if we see all, if we consider all these factors, there is very minimal risk involved in convalescent plasma therapy. However, there are, as I have discussed in my earlier slide, before we conduct this therapy, although there are minimum risks, we need a government or regulatory body approval. So, concluding the talk, in nutshell, the use of convalescent plasma is an interim approach to treatment until availability of hyperimmunoglobulin, drug therapies, and vaccines. So, it is a temporary relief While the concept of plasma treatment is simple, numerous steps are involved in this, requiring cooperation between multiple entities, including recovered patient who serves as a donor, then blood centers or plasma collection centers, uh, treating physicians and their patients, and healthcare administrator and regulators overseeing the safety at each step. Use of plasma apheresis to collect large volume of plasma is always a desirable, because through which we can collect only plasma and rest of the blood cells can re-infuse back to the donor. Current estimates suggest that a single donor collection can be used to treat 2 to 3 recipients. We know now that we have a antibody assay system available with us, like IgM and IgG detection kit. Okay, so these available assays are really required to ensure plasma unit contains antibody. Okay, so unless and until there is an antibody in the plasma, we cannot administer that plasma as a therapeutic for a therapeutic purpose. However, we have yet to correlate these antibody assay with neutralizing antibody titer, or most importantly with patient outcome. Then additional question remains, including dosing, optimal antibody types, and timing of administration during disease course. So these are also play a very major role in convalescent plasma therapy. It is also important for every one of us to educate people recovering from the disease to donate their plasma to help others recover fast. So this is all about plasma therapy. I just hope I know it was a very quick overview of convalescent plasma therapy, but I really hope that I have made a points clear, that like why do we need convalescent plasma therapy, and how does it work? What is the role of convalescent plasma therapy in combating coronavirus? So if you have any questions, the session is open for question and answer, and I will be happy to answer the questions. Thank you so much. So I'll start with the question. Anushka Khanna is asking, does plasma therapy lowers the donor's immunity? Uh, Anushka, it does not lowers the donor's immunity, because these immunoglobulins, they are continuously secreted for that particular duration. You are just taking out 200 cc of the plasma and you are giving back to the recipient or a patient. However, you must note that when we conduct the plasma therapy, the donor must be in a healthy state, as a healthy state of body as well as healthy state of mind, to donate the plasma. Um, then another question. So Ajay is asking, is it possible to identify the COVID antibody? Well, Ajay, it is possible to identify COVID antibodies. So if we see like, not just a convalescent plasma therapy, but I don't know whether you have heard these news. In Israel, people have developed a monoclonal antibody against coronavirus. So this is a very specific antibody against coronavirus or COVID disease. So it is possible to identify the COVID antibody, and a purified version of antibody can be used for a therapeutic purpose. Paras is asking, is plasma is taken from blood of patients who recovered? Yes, Paras. So when we talk about convalescent plasma therapy, as I have made, likely told everybody in my first slide, convalescent means a person who have recovered from the disease. Okay, so the blood is taken from that particular person. The plasma is separated, and that plasma is used for donating the antibodies to a patient. Uh, Dr. Monica is asking, after how many days plasma should be donated by the recovered donor? Well, this is really a very good question, Monica. If you see, like I have showed one graph where there is a uh, uh, IgM and IgG lines which I have showed you. So if you see 0 to 7 days is what IgM appears in the body, and after 8 days IgM starts appearing, and the peak of the IgM antibody starts or achieved at around day 14. So the person should donate the blood or a plasma after 14 days of its recovery. So that's how the maximum amount of IgG will be present. Very good article published in June's Nature journal, where they have said that in corona patients, this IgG concentration in blood does not remain for very long time. So you cannot have patients who have recovered beyond a month. So you have to collect the plasma or blood within 14 to 20 days of recovery. I hope I have answered your question. Um, Then, is headache a symptoms of coronavirus disease? Well, Rohit, headache is not just the only symptoms. There are, if you see the CDC website, on the CDC website, they have listed total 11 symptoms. So just headache cannot be the symptoms of coronavirus also, although headache is included in the system, but it has to be associated with other systems. Uh, Charanya is asking, will plasma not coagulate? How it is maintained? Charanya, when we collect the blood, we collect it in anticoagulant. Okay, so because of this anticoagulant, the coagulation does not happen. Okay, so there is no way we will get a plasma which is coagulate, because it's a blood collected it in anticoagulant. Also, I would like to tell you that it's not just a plasma, but sometimes even the serum can be used as a convalescent therapy. If you remember the slide where I have said that convalescent whole blood product, so even the whole blood, plasma and serum can be used for therapeutic purpose. Siley is asking, can you comment on antiviral drug recently approved are more reliable, or plasma therapy is more reliable? Well, Siley, if you remember when I talked about the regulatory bodies, what FDA has said that the convalescent plasma therapy is it's just a investigational therapy. So that does not mean that it's a foolproof method. Okay, and you can use convalescent plasma therapy immediately, because there is no drug available, there is no vaccine available. So to combat the disease, you can use these plasma therapy. So if you compare it with the drug, uh, well, I would say the drug might give you more quick effect than plasma therapy. If I need to comment on the recent antiviral drug, again, it's a little controversial topic, because as we do more and more research, the available drug is what we have found out that it's not that effective. Ajay is asking, how many times a person can donate plasma? Uh, well, Ajay, if you remember, as I have said, you can donate plasma from the day 14 of your recovery till day 20 to 25. So at maximum time, what you can donate blood or plasma is just once. That's the reason I said we need to have more and more donor available for patients. And also it is good if we come up with a plasma or convalescent plasma bank. I guess Delhi government have taken a step on that, and they will be soon coming up with the plasma bank. can you use Minisha is asking, can we use nanoparticle based therapeutic drug for treating COVID-19? Well, uh, Minisha, yes, like if there is a nanoparticle which can combat a virus, like it can destroy the outer protein layer, uh, it can halt the cytokine storm which is generated due to coronavirus infection. We are good to use nanoparticle based therapeutic drugs. People are doing research on that, and I just hope somebody soon get some breakthrough, and we will soon have a solid drug or therapy, no matter based on what therapy it is. Sakshi is asking, can we treat infected plasma by exposing it to UV radiation at specific wavelength? Sakshi, no, we cannot do that because this radiation generates heat, and that heat will further, denature the protein present in plasma, and similarly, even the antibody will get destroyed. So we cannot use that. Name the process in which plasma and liquid blood is separated from the blood cell. It's called apheresis. So in apheresis, what happens is plasma is separated from the blood portion, and the rest of the blood cells are given back to the patient. Um, I guess, yeah, I just hope I have answered all the questions. I really hope that this webinar is informative for you. If this webinar will be, we will put this webinar on YouTube. So if you have any further question, you can, address those questions on YouTube. We will get back to you on YouTube or even on a Facebook. I'm sorry, like I really had to rush up with this webinar because we just had half an hour's time allotted from the Zoom. So I just try to finish my webinar in the given time. So uh, I just hope I have answered all the questions. Uh, well, Praveen is asking another question, sir. Could you comment on CAR T therapy to treat COVID-19? Uh, well, I really have not, studied CAR T therapy for COVID-19 as such, so I don't think I'll be able to comment on that. Uh, how effective is FabiFlu? So again, Dr. Piyush, I am sorry, like I really don't have idea like how effective this FabiFlu will be, because I have not personally used, or I have not seen anybody using that, and uh, I don't have the results associated with FabiFlu. So I'm sorry, I will not be able to comment on that. So okay, then I think even the time is up. I just hope I'm, able to convey the essence of the topic, and this is informative for everyone of you. So thank you so much. See you in our next webinar soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you.